welcome to Community Keys. Our mission is to spotlight the impact theory community members, where they come from, how they got here, and where they are headed. I'd like to encourage our audience to reach out to these members, make friends, and build relationships, and lift up those around you. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce our first guest today, GoBeAwesome, an OG to the Impact Theory Discord and an amazing person. His real name is Jeremy Reynolds, a father of two, and has his own podcast called The Ultra Running Guys. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so great, man. It is so good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so super excited to have you on as our first guest. And to start off, I would like to just get to know a little bit more about you, where you came from, who were you in like high school, and what type of like family and like education you come from.
Yeah, so wow, going way back. So I grew up Southern California, loved it out there. Got to the point where kind of after high school, I was spent 4 years in community college kind of guy, so had a lot of fun, didn't get a whole lot done. And then to be honest, always wanted to fly planes because high school didn't go the way I wanted to. I didn't get into the Air Force Academy. I'd kind of given that up. And then a combination of things, 9/11 happened. My best friend at the time, when I would go out and be having a good time in high school, he was at home studying swift water rescue and everything because he wanted to be a firefighter. And so he was the youngest guy hired on at LA Fire in their history. So I went, I think I was 21 at the time, went and watched his graduation and realized he's dedicated, the past 5 years of his life, and he's essentially starting his dream. And I don't know what I want to do. So I thought, well, let's take a step back. What have I always wanted to do? And it was be around planes. And so I essentially overnight decided, all right, so I up and joined the Air Force. And next year makes 20 years for me. A lot of that's been reserved since 2008. But bottom line, left California, met my beautiful wife in North Dakota. That's where both my kids were born. And she's from North Carolina. I was from California. We knew we didn't want to stay in North Dakota. And so we eventually just kind of made our way out here to the Wilmington area in North Carolina. Love it. Yep. Like you said, these days, I'm a big runner. I never was. I was a gym rat, hated running.
And I'm right there with you.
Yeah, man. It was actually Spartan races that got me into running. I was a gym rat. So all the obstacles I was really good at, but then all the runners would crush me in between. So decided to start running, did that with my best friend now, Jeff Winchester, and we ended up eventually starting the Ultra Running Guys and got into just doing some stupid things, but really all that trying to get into ultras and say, hey, what are my limits? How can I really better myself? And that, I know we're going to talk NFTs and that kind of stuff, but I am part of the community that knew about Tom and impact theory well before I ever had any idea what an NFT was. And so it was kind of during that time trying to do morning personal development. I'm really, really riser, and kept seeing his stuff pop up, got into impact theory, and then just tried to consume as much as I possibly could.
Yeah,
and then
that's awesome. I have a few questions about the things you've covered so far. So I'll jump back to like the first part. So like the Air Force, I have great reverence for people who serve. Both my older brother went to West Point and served, and then also my grandparents. Cool. But like for you, flying planes, was that just like was that like the main passion, or did you also want to like serve? And was there like a reason behind it, or just like planes kind of thing?
Great question. So I just liked them growing up, and I always, to be real honest, right? Like a lot of young guys, it's easy to envision yourself as kind of the tough war hero type. I never had any interest really in any kind of actual fighting, but loved the thought of fighter jets and Top Gun and all the cool stuff, right? Obviously that's a little bit different. And so the way things went for me, so I actually don't fly them. I am a boom operator. I was on the KC-135s and then now the KC-46.
And for people who don't know what a boom operator is, that's refilling and refueling planes mid-flight, correct?
Yep. So if you ever seen two planes kind of connected, I'm the guy that plugs it. And so I'm a flying gas man, essentially. But so But I also realized pretty early on that being a pilot, even the job that I do, it can be very tough on family. And so it's part of the reasons I ended up in the reserves is as soon as I met my wife, I just realized that, hey, I don't think pursuing the pilot route is,
Mm.
in line with now that I want a family and kind of this different route. But being around planes, just absolutely loved it. So I don't know that I always saw myself. I saw myself Air Force because I wanted to fly, not necessarily,
Yeah,
obviously serving is a privilege, and I spent a lot of time away from home. But yeah,
that's awesome.
that was really the draw for me.
And then yeah, so you also talk a lot about your wife. So I was just curious about like what's like the best part about being like a parent, father of two, and just being in a like relationship like that.
Oh my
Because
gosh,
I'm still
man.
quite young in my own journey. So
Yeah. So, and a lot of people thought we were crazy, right? So there's a trend in the military of people getting married young. And I thought that was insane. And luckily, I was 22. She's a couple years older than me when we met, but we had both been through longer term relationships. I had convinced myself that I'd have to date somebody for at least 5 years, before, just because I'd had a couple of relationships that on paper made so much sense, and then doesn't work out. And they were great friends still, and luckily it always worked out that way. But man, I met her and I just knew, and we were married within 6 months. and,
the plan went out the window there.
yeah, I mean, when you know, you know.
Yeah.
And I think both having previous experience, and so we just celebrated our 18-year anniversary. So
Oh
obviously,
wow.
it's worked out pretty well.
Awesome.
But
Congrats.
she gives. I mean, she's my everything. She's my strength. And it's hard to even explain to her sometimes because I do dedicate a lot of time to running and the
Mhm.
podcast and some of the other things that I like to do. But she is always at the heart of anything that I'm doing. And then obviously being a dad is probably I said serving as a privilege. Being a dad is the best thing ever. It's challenging. I don't know that people recognize sometimes how challenging it is, especially if anybody thinks kids are going to make things easier or improve a marriage. But there's just nothing better than,
Mhm.
and I'm super lucky. My kids are 16 and 14, boy, girl. They both got really good heads on their shoulders. I'm super proud of them, and every stage seems to get more fun. Each one has
Mhm.
its challenges, but
Yeah,
it's my
that's awesome.
favorite thing for sure.
So I would like to kind of dive into like running, and so I listen to like a lot of ultra marathon runners, specifically like I have many people here, especially in the IT community, have heard of David Goggins,
Oh
but
yeah.
also James Lawrence. So I was wondering if for you during your runs, what drives you to push through the really tough times?
Yeah. So it's funny. This is a question that we ask people all the time, right? And really, I guess the kind of question is we ask why, and the two, how do you get through it? Uh, I think I think the first question is why would you want to get through it? Why would you want to put yourself in a situation? That's what most people ask. Why would you run 100 miles? Right? Like that's just it's stupid. Most people don't like driving 100 miles. Um, the way that I explain it is there to me is no better opportunity to put yourself in a situation where you can learn that much about yourself and force the development. Obviously, I mean, you hear all kinds of stories, right? I think in real life, challenges are what kind of make champions. None of us want to go through those challenges. And a lot of times it's not our decision, right? But people do amazing things coming out of really hard times in their lives. So putting yourself in a situation where you just know it's going to feel impossible at moments, to me, there's a super huge draw to that. And to be transparent, I do have a very addictive personality. I stopped drinking 12 years ago just because I'm a better human being for it. And having somewhere to channel that energy for me is very helpful on the day to day. But yeah, in those moments, it really comes down to why. So it's to learn about myself, to set examples, to show my kids that you can do more than you think you can do. But it doesn't matter how much you prepare for it when you're in those moments.
Mhm.
Um, it really, I call it my monster. Like my monster comes out. We have words, and sometimes you win and sometimes you don't. But I think each time, like anything else, you develop further the skill to push harder for next time or to manage it better. So
you have to like go through that, like, so, or like the difficult times to really grow. It's like failing to like learn from that failure how to continue to push forward next time, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's awesome. So I would kind of like to jump into more of like how you came across impact theory, maybe a favorite guest, or just like, and then specifically like why you got involved into the impact theory Discord.
Yeah, for sure. So like I was saying, so I kind of developed a habit of each morning I would get up, trying to build a morning routine just because I recognize that a lot of successful people do that. Also trying to get ready to run 100 miles, I recognized that I needed to really focus on recovery and some other things, and mindset is a piece of that. So every morning I just opened up YouTube, and most of my stuff was personal development. I kept seeing impact theory show up, or Tom, I had no idea who he was. And to be honest, I was like, oh, how is this guy like making a living interviewing successful people? Not knowing that he was the founder of Quest and obviously one of the more successful people out there. So eventually I plugged in, and once I realized like, man, this guy is so prepared. He is providing so much value out of the conversation, not just entertainment, but he's going in saying, how can I get my audience to walk away with, tangible things that they can apply to their lives. So that was, and then I was hooked, because again, everything that I was trying to do as a runner was, one, mindset, develop positivity, two, the kind of the biohacking, right? How do I reduce inflammation? How do I take care of myself? So he was kind of covering all the bases. As far as favorite guests, man, I honestly don't know. There's
so many good ones.
Oh, there's so many good ones. And even the ones that I would think I wouldn't be excited about, the conversations are so good. And I recognize pretty quick that, you can't listen to one and then that's it. So there's been a few at the same time. He's got so much great content coming out that I honestly don't have the time to go back and re-listen, to the ones that I want to. But I think just constantly having that type of input obviously changes a person. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you see situations. And then having the tangible where I can go, wow, I can actually change the way I eat based off what I learned today. I can do some breath work, some different things.
It's like having that like good data stream is like, there's like junk food out there, junk like time that you can spend on like social media is just scrolling. But then like, if you find really good sources of information like Tom's podcast, there's like so much like new things you can learn and then actually like use to like better yourself. So
right, 100%.
And I bet there's like so many other people out there in the community that are just like us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. And that's actually one of the things I've loved about the Discord is, so I just think NFTs, and, so I'm 41. I don't know the average because, most of the people, you don't know who they are. You don't know their backgrounds, and it's fun to interact. I feel like I'm probably a little bit older than a lot of the crowd, even though I don't think I'm old by any means, but most of my friends are not in NFTs or really even crypto. And so, you see a big difference, I think, between a lot of the other projects, just in terms of patience, understanding of how things work, understanding psychology and why the market may move a certain way. And then you go into impact theory and like, everybody's just helpful. And everybody's talking about personal development and how to help each other out. And I was like, okay, this is great for two reasons. Because one, it's bringing people from the impact theory space into, the NFT space and crypto space where clearly everything is going. But then two, it's pulling people from that side and then giving them a chance to plug into what we love about it. I mean, it's really just about being better people at the end of the day. And how do we treat each other better? How do I just become a better person as I'm walking around? Because that's how you make the impact. So I think it's been really, really cool to watch all that like kind of roll out.
No, that's awesome. And it really does like have an overarching theme of just like bettering yourself and just being like a better person. Like that's what makes this community so great, is like the positive like energy. Everyone's like optimistic, and that surrounding yourself with like-minded people like that is just amazing. So
yeah. And I think
you go.
I was just going to say, and again, and this isn't talking negatively about other discords, but I've definitely been in discords, right, where one negative comment can cause kind of this avalanche of discontent. And so I think, you're never going to, the whole group is not always going to be happy about what's happening. And so you've seen the same thing in impact theory, right? Hey, I haven't heard anything in a while. And what's this? What is this key even for? When are we going to do this? That kind of thing. But the dynamic to me is so different in how that's absorbed, communicated. And then, obviously, like I said, you can't please everybody, but I love that about it. And I think it's just building one of the purest communities in the space, which is why I'm just so excited about what's coming.
Yeah, the communication is awesome. So, but yeah, so I would like to jump into like the last part of the interview of more of just like where you are headed now on your journey. Like, what are you working on? What are you working on, like self, like individually, but also like wherever you want to go with that.
Yeah. So, really big focus for me. So I work corporate day to day. And it's not necessarily something that I'm like personally aligned with. It takes good care of our family, but I think there's a large and you in the personal development space, you hear about that a lot. I think there's a large population out there that wakes up every day and isn't thinking, gosh, I get to go like live my dream today. Right. So I've been lucky enough though, that I have these other things that really fulfill me. And so right now, in terms of the ultra running guys, our podcast is going really well. For us, it's all about community. How do we bring people into ultra running? How do we show people that even though they may think it's impossible, that any of us can do it, kind of thing. And I don't know why that's so important to me, but it is. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's nothing more exciting than watching somebody accomplish something that they once thought was impossible. And I was that person for sure when it came to running. So super passionate about that. We're launching live races. We just had our first live race in September, it went nice. Incredible. Yeah. And we just launched our second one. So we've got a race called the Hydra coming up in April. It's all out in North Carolina, but so that's really what I've been focused on. And then obviously just gotten super excited about kind of crypto NFTs. And for me, it came down to, with the housing market and everything, we had a house that we ended up renting out when we moved, when the market was really down, and then we sold it. And for the first time really ever, I said, hey, I've got some capital that I need to figure out how to be responsible with. And that's what got me originally kind of starting to learn about crypto, listening to Tom and Raoul Powell and some of those conversations that really opened my eyes just around crypto and not only that, but the other side of it, kind of where just our economy is and that. So, and then once I found NFTs, again, like I said, just community. Because then I realized, hey, here's something that can actually, I don't want to call NFT an investment because you don't know, right? So speculative. That being said, I've been really lucky to be in somewhere because I've been so drawn to the community, because my approach has been to think, is this something I want to be in 10 years? Do I think that the community is really building? Do I think they're really building something out versus where is this going to be in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Can I make some money off of this? And so I've just fallen in love with, and then once, of course, as soon as Tom, and it was so random, I started, I just pulled up a video, listened to Tom, and he started saying, yep, I'm going to launch next week, my first, this NFT project. So of course I looked him up and realized it was the next day that he was starting the Discord. So and then, along with you and some other people, just one of the first ones in there, and was like, okay, I want to dedicate everything I can to this right now, because I think it's going to be the biggest thing. I think in 20 years, when we look back, we're going to go, man, what a momentous time. Yeah. So that's really the thing. I'm doing my best to stay balanced because, like I said, I tend to be addictive. So once I get in there, I probably go a little bit overboard.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see how much you care about the community and helping people like achieve what they didn't even know was possible for themselves. And I think that goes really along with the growth mindset and empowerment that this culture just attracts people like that. So super thankful to have you luckily just find out about it right when it started coming out. So that's really awesome. And then kind of like wrap up the interview, prior to the last question, I want to like plug some of your stuff so people can like reach out to you. So if you want to follow Jeremy, you can go to his Twitter at GoBeAwesomeNFT, no spaces in that. His Instagram at go_be_awesome, and his website, www.theultrarunning.guys.com. And if you're watching the video or in the show notes, I'll have all this information as well. Or just go into the Discord and just at him and just start talking up, just start a conversation there. So would love for you guys to reach out to him.
And then one thing, I'll get one caveat on that. If you happen to go to those, you'll see it's like split lives. So Twitter is essentially all NFT, because I wasn't on Twitter before any of this.
Yeah.
So it's all NFTs, no running. Mm-hmm. If you go to my Instagram, there essentially I'm a ghost on NFTs because it's all running community, and I didn't want to kind of blur those lines. Yeah. Sense. So depending on if you happen to follow, just, if you're looking for NFTs, all you're going to do is find running on Instagram.
Awesome. So with that being said, the last question I would like to ask you is, what is one lesson you would want to teach your children or the younger version of yourself, because it had a big impact on your life trajectory?
Oh, man. I would say have faith in who you can be. It's so hard because like I look at my kids, and my kids are very different, but I had the benefit of being somewhat intelligent. Had a good group of friends. If I could go back to my younger self, or it's the thing I try to instill in my kids, and I don't know how you do it, but is to just have that hunger for who you can be. Because I go, man, if I could have gone back 15 years before I started getting really excited about the potential of who I think I could eventually become one day. And I had a lot of fun, and that was good. Mm-hmm. But that would be it, is find something that just excites, and it doesn't have to be one thing, but it excites the crap out of you. And then just have such a big vision about what you could do with it, who you could become with it, and go after it. And of course, one of the things I'm learning from Tom is don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to fall down. And that's something in the past that I wish that I would have done a little bit differently, is not worried so much about results, but worried about the journey and just moving forward,
Yeah, I love that so much. So Jeremy, it was great talking with you today, but we don't want these to go too long, because we could definitely talk for like another hour. So glad to have you on here as our first guest, and hopefully lots of people reach out and start up just new friendships and conversations with you. So,
well, thanks so much for having me on, man. Thanks for everything you do. So excited to see you as a mod. And I think we just, we all clicked really from day one. So Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate everything you're doing for the community.
Awesome. Thank you too. And everyone, have a great rest of your day.